Welcome to the Auric Investigators Podcast with Vicki McHale, a mutant 4/6 emotional generator with a line 1 motivation, and Lauren Wenzel, a collective 5/1 mental projector. Join us as we deep dive into off the beaten path subjects. But be careful, because we might just make you think, or even better, burst a few outdated bubbles around what you've been led to believe is truth. Agree or disagree, it's okay, because we have nothing to prove. So let's get started. Hey, welcome to Auric Sleuths podcast. And I'm laughing because I actually said the right name. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but in 3/4 of the marketing material or the introductions, I've actually called it the wrong name. But since I am stepping out of my penchants for having to be perfect, I'm just going to laugh at myself and say, welcome to Auric Sleuths. And I'm Vicki McHale, and this is my beautiful co-host, Lauren Wenzel.
Hello, everyone.
And today we are here to talk about part 2 of the Dream Rave. So at this point, I will let Lauren take it from here.
So the first part of what we went into the Dream Rave was the different types we have in the Dream Rave, the different realms, and then we kind of got into some of the gates as well. This episode, we're going to go even deeper. So we're going to go into the effects of having certain gates in your Dream Rave compared to the waking and what that might look like. And then we're going to go into something called amino acids and the codons, which Vicki really, she dove so deep with this experiment being her line 1 motivation, and her being like a mutant with completely individual circuitry, that it really shifted our class when we were going through it. And that's really Vicki's design. So Vicki, I really would love for you to share like what you discovered, what was like, how did you really tap into this? And then what did you see looking up other people's charts and connecting like certain amino acids and their gates and everything that has just kind of been unfolding?
Absolutely. I'm still getting used to being called a mutant. I think I prefer unique and fabulous. Well, this is what is so weird. We were sitting in class and we were talking about what we called the Achilles heel gate. And this was basically a gate that you have in your Dream Rave that you don't have in your waking chart. And then our instructor had started bringing in the DNA codons, and I was looking at the different amino acids attached to the different codons. And so I noticed mine was a gate 5. And so that was theranine. And so while we were in class, I looked up theranine and was learning about theranine. Well, one of the things it said was that if you have a mutation or an imbalance in the theranine amino acid, it can cause crepey skin, it can cause fatty liver, it can cause a depletion of vitamin D, and skin conditions such as psoriasis and eczema. And my jaw dropped because a year and a half earlier, when I moved to Austin, I went to see the doctor, and the doctor diagnosed me with a vitamin D deficiency. I've been on vitamin D supplements ever since. She told me I had the start of a fatty liver. I needed to start changing my diet. And then I also had a patch of psoriasis on my back and at the bottom of my hairline that I had been dealing with for like 6 years. It was just in those 2 spots. Thankfully, it had never spread, but she gave me some cream for that. And just, earlier I was noticing my skin was getting really loose and crepey. I was actually looking for like some creams. So when I saw that, my jaw just dropped. And after class, I started deep diving it. And I realized that this Theranine, my doctor had the smoking gun in her hand. Like, here was everything she needed to know, but she never put two and two together. She gave me vitamins. She told me to eat better. You know, she gave me cream for my psoriasis. But in my mind, as a doctor, the doctor should have been able to, you know, put two and two together and diagnose.
Sounds
it.
like Rocky is confirming everything you're saying.
My dog has allergies, so sorry about that. So anyhow, I was just in shock. So from there, it started my mind going. So I started looking up charts and comparing with other people, and you know, writing down what I had found. And I had two friends that have been diagnosed with MS, and I noticed that their Achilles heel gaits and was all about symptoms of MS and could turn into MS. I have another friend who has ALS, and where she was deficient within her gait, it said it can turn into Lou Gehrig's disease. So then I just started reaching out to other people, and a friend who had just been diagnosed with diabetes, I sent them their, you know, amino acid, and they were like, holy shit, this is everything I've been going through for the past 10 years. So I wrote to the teacher and I said, you know, so I deep dived, I went in and all 20 amino acids, like I wrote down everything I could find on them as to, you know, what happens if you had a deficiency or an excess or any type of mutation. And she kind of said, okay, well, good job, Vicki. Like, it didn't really resonate with her. And then the next time we were in class, one of the gals in class, Andrea, she said, you know, Vicki, after you sent that paper, I looked up mine and I have.
And then she shared. Yeah.
And she shared it. And when she shared it, our teacher, who is brilliant, I think we could say her name, Raquel Reina, who
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Her eyes got as big as saucers, and she was like, holy shit. And so for the rest of the class,
right, it popped, it mutated the class with this intel that Vicki found.
Yeah, so for the next 3 or 4 classes, that's all we did was dig into it. And I am finding so many correlations, and basically what it comes down to for me is we are born with the knowledge of where our vulnerabilities are. And so from the day we're born, if we pay attention to this, if we live within our design, or, you know, if we make sure we monitor, it could really change health within our world. And so, as a matter of fact, if anybody wants to go on my webpage, Your Unique Design, and under home, there's actually, you could sign up and I will do a free chart reading for you to look at this. You know, and the thing is not everybody that comes into this world with vulnerabilities gets sick.
Right.
But it depends on what your trauma is, what your lifestyle is, those types of things. But so from there, it just kept mutating more, because I was finding, I found the most I found so far is somebody with 3 Achilles heel gaits. And it's like the more Achilles heel gaits people have, the more severe their problems are. If people have splits, there are certain splits where this is showing up. So
where they're waking, right? The splits in the waking.
Yeah.
In the waking chart.
I'd like to say like I'm just that brilliant, but I think it's like spirit coming in and kind of downloading this or showing me, you know, where to look. And so it's been absolutely fascinating. So slowly but surely I'm working through it. But then people come up and say, oh, well, should I take more lysine or should I take more
Right.
cysteine?
Uh-huh.
And I can't tell you that because like for mine, as soon as I saw theranine, I went out and I bought the amino acid theranine and my psoriasis started getting worse. So then I started digging into it more and I found out it's an excess. Like I must have a problem with my stop codes, because I'm making excess theranine. So now I'm kind of working through the emotion code and I want to get a full amino acid panel and a vitamin panel because doctors typically don't do that. But if we start pushing towards full amino acid and vitamin panels and we start watching before we get sick, unfortunately, I'm verifying this through people who are already sick, but we do have the potential to catch this, very quickly. So that has just been amazing to catch this and know that it's been there all along. So
Yeah.
that's what has happened on that.
Yeah, and what I noticed for me, my biggest Achilles heel is linked to my gait that is in the dream rave that's not in my waking. And what I noticed is my mom has the exact same one. And so what came to me was, so the Achilles heel that I have, it's more genetic on my dad's side, but my mom has the Achilles heel in her dream rave. So there was some sort of, to me, like people, we come in with frequency and codes and it's so unconscious that we kind of pair and match each other even at a DNA level. So whatever my dad was carrying in his DNAs from his lineage, and then my mom has the, if you want to call it a carrier, Achilles heel, and unconscious gate in her dream, they link together. And then with my chart, then I have this same Achilles heel that shows up in my dream rave. And what was really powerful, but my mom's is different. So with the gate 42 is the amino acid of leucine. So that can show up as, I can't remember all of it, but one of the things is muscle weakness. And that's something that my dad, on his mom's side, I mean, it's a genetic thing. And then so I inherited that in my own unique way. And my mom doesn't have that, but she has other symptoms of what leucine shows up as. But when she started learning about human design and we were trying and experimenting with different supplements and really practicing our inner authority, her psoriasis, she's had it even before I was born, has healed completely. And I can't tell you it was because of this or this or this, but I think really taking on the experiment and being open, you can heal a lot of things and see a lot of things shift and change.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because like a lot of the amino acids are made from other proteins or other amino acids. So leucine and serine are biggies in the dream rave. Like I think serine shows up in 2 different gates and leucine in 3 different gates. And then there's also the stop code, gate 12, I believe it is. There is a stop code. But if you have a mutation in one, it can impact others. So if you need serine, leucine, and glutamate in order to make something. And because what happens is and this is just on a very, very general scale, but what happens is you have DNA. And DNA knows the recipe that it needs in order to get the protein or amino acid that it needs in order to function. At the bottom is a thing called RNA. And RNA is what goes out and collects everything from your system that you need. It makes the recipe and then gives it to the DNA. So if you need vitamin D in order to make this amino acid, but you have no DNA in your body, then the recipe that the RNA makes is incomplete. And after a long enough time, that recipe starts mutating, and it can mutate into disease or illness. Well, you might have 4 or 5 different amino acids that need vitamin D, and if that vitamin D is not there. So basically, we get DNA mutations like coming into this world. If your family has a history of diabetes, that means that that DNA mutation has been there for a long time. So you're born with the chance of getting that. I mean, some things you are just born with, but you're born with the vulnerability of getting diabetes because it's in your family. Once you have that mutation in your body, depending on the trauma you have, the lifestyle you have, the environment you have, it has the opportunity to mutate more and then turn into that diabetes, or maybe even something more severe or less severe than what your parents have had. And then, excuse me, you procreate and you pass that mutation on. So that's what they talk about, genetics and epigenetics. It can go back centuries that this is happening. And now it's really scary because, you know, our government has allowed, you know, food manufacturers to poison us, and then have, you know, Monsanto sitting there, you know, with their GMOs and all of these things. And I personally believe that that's a big reason why disease is so rampant right now, and autism, ADHD, a lot of these things are happening is because of our food and what it's doing to our DNA.
Right. Absolutely. And I feel like when we take on the experiment, no matter what, no matter the case of what's happening on the outside, as long as we're following the basics, which is our strategy and inner authority, but especially inner authority with making decisions like what we're going to eat, what we're going to spend our time on. I feel like the right things come to you more, and your body is so powerful, like the vehicle, as we call it in human design, is so powerful that it can transmute certain things. And that's just my personal belief. You know, everybody's different. But, you know, it's what you do with the intel and tapping into your own personal uniqueness, your genius, your knowing, that you won't be as susceptible to certain things that, like an Achilles heel, or you'll be able to heal it. And really find what you need to heal it, whether that's through meditation, supplements, food, whatever your inner authority is really agreeing yes to or no to. And what I found super, like, it was just mind-blowing is seeing like certain Achilles heel gates, or the gate in the dream Rave. And Vicki brought to my attention, it spreads like a virus to the other gates that it's linked to that you don't have in your waking, and it still can affect the gates you do have. So for example, like so I have the gate 42 connected to the leucine, and that's connected to a few other gates. And the gates that I don't have in my waking, that it's connected to, I could totally see the shadow and the virus, you know, it's like, it's a programming, right, of how it affects me. And it was just like, it blew my mind of like, oh my gosh, I can totally see how this kind of puts me into more conditioning in my not self. And it was just, it's crazy.
Well, I have the gate 5, and the gate 5 is all about time. And then the corresponding gates, I think, are 9, 11, and 26. And I can see where I can spend time in that gate 9, which is not focusing. I can be in that dream world and just lose hours during the day, kind of in that space of ideas and fantasies, which kind of go into the gate 11 and not really moving forward. And so, yes, it kind of spreads like a virus through those. And what's happening is this is your not self. And so you're out of alignment. And that's what happens when you're conditioned at night in your sleep, is it throws you out of alignment with who you really think you are. And what's scary is there's a lot of people that they dream and then they wake up and they start looking up all of their dreams because they think their dreams are messages. And a lot of times what they're doing is they're going further into their conditioning.
Right.
There are dream portals where actual information comes through, and in those cases, we wake up and we're inspired and we know what that dream meant. But anytime you start going, what's a red shirt mean? What's a boat mean? What's this mean? You're getting further into that conditioning. And I know that's probably going to upset a lot of people who are really into
I know, yeah.
dreams. Now, one of the best things I think you could do is you could get yourself a dream journal and track your dreams and kind of see over time if you have a theme of where you're being conditioned at, but it's not necessarily a message, it's what's keeping you.
Right.
And I can tell because I have gate 19, which is also a portal gate. And I know when I have a dream that brings me information. And I know now when I have a dream that keeps me stuck in conditioning. I sometimes still forget, I have to work through it, but just knowing these things and how they work. And I did want to go back to what you said, Lauren, is living in alignment and being able to live the way we're supposed to, and know when we're being conditioned, and know not to fall into that black hole, because that's what happens. We're conditioned and we fall into a black hole. We fall into depression, or we fall into faulty thinking. Joe Dispenza, like I do believe his meditations are very helpful. And I start doing those again, but yeah, it's just fascinating. It's fascinating to me. I don't know if it's fascinating to other people, but it's fascinating to me.
Yeah, like all these tools, human design, meditation, whatever puts you in your theme is it's a key from the universe, God, source, whatever you align with. And everything that distracts you, that puts you into frustration, bitterness, anger, disappointment. You know, I really had a big aha the other day in regards to the dream type and the not self in the dream type. And since I'm a reflector, when I dream, I've noticed when I wasn't having conditioning dreams, but like either like a message from a dream or a power dream or a healing dream, I would wake up very excited. So that's a reflector theme of like that surprise, right? Like it was a surprise. But then when you're being conditioned in your dream and you wake up and you might feel disappointed or angry or frustrated, that's also a key to look for of, oh, I'm in my not self in my dreaming. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it was so like it was kind of like, duh, of course. And so notice every time you're waking up, and I would invite anybody to remove judgment, because we can be so hard on ourselves and expect the transformation and the shifts really fast, but it takes however long it needs to take. So if you're waking up and you're feeling, you know, oh, I dreamt about this again, and there's like that disappointment, and then your mind starts racing, it's just take a pause and don't go into it and don't judge, and practice maybe like a new morning ritual, whether it's literally saying a couple things you're grateful for, taking some deep breaths, whatever you need to do that feels good, do that instead of going into the not self, and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I fall prey to it quite often, and I'm having to learn. So I like my emotion code, or I like my I do PS Tech EFT, so it helps to kind of shift you. So
yeah, and as line ones, we research so many different techniques and modalities. It's just part of the line one, and being an investigator and a sleuth. Yeah, so we can share all the things that we've practiced, that we're into, and especially with human design and in the experiment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you have anything else to add to this, or?
I would just like to invite anybody who is interested to diving deeper into their design, opening up a different dimension with how they dream, to find out their type when they dream. And if anybody has a problem finding that out, please reach out to us and we can look that up for you. If you want your own private reading, we can offer that as well. Those are super powerful. And if you just want to explore a different type of way to dream, like that will be a huge shift for you too. And we would just really love to hear your shares, your experiences, and if this excites you.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, if you're having some problems with your health, or if you're concerned about your health, or just
Exactly that too.
If you have an Achilles heel or another kind of vulnerability, go to my webpage, and under home, you will see, I do as many as I can as they come in. So, and there is no charge for it. So I want as many people to get this information as they can at this point in time.
Yeah, and we'll provide that link in the description for the episode as well. And this is not any medical advice. We're not certified doctors or anything. We're just looking at different ways to live in alignment, to heal for better health, and you following first and foremost your strategy and your inner authority with this.
Okay, well, perfect. I'm done talking.
All right. Oh, the open throat is done talking. The projector is done talking. And until next time, thank you all so much for being with us, to contemplating this intel, and have an amazing rest of your evening, day, wherever you are in the world, space and time. See you next time.
Bye-bye. Hey, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, we absolutely love your feedback. So check out those links below and reach out with your insight, feedback, and even your ideas. And until next time, remember...
That's all, folks.